Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here with Shadowfax again today because I wanted to talk about just a few things you should look for when you're going to buy a mini horse. Okay, it's really important that you have some idea of what you should look for, what you should ask. Now, most people are honest. Most people want their animals to have a good home. And most people want you to have all the info you need to give your pony a good home. However, some people out there are out there to rip you off. Okay? Some people are there because they're going to rip you off. And some people, I mean, even the best seller isn't perfect. They could miss things. So the onus is on you to pick the right horse. That's your problem. Okay? You need to know what to look for, what questions to ask, and what are some of the most common pitfalls when it comes to buying a mini horse. So the first thing is registration. You may not care about registration. If he's just going to be a pet or a therapy pony, it might not matter to you. But if you're going to show or compete or breed or any of those things, you need a complete and up-to-date registration. So if registration matters to you, you want to make sure the horse is registered with the organization that oversees shows in your area. In North America, this will be the AMHA, so the American Miniature Horse Association, or the AMHR, the American Miniature Horse Registry. Okay, both of them are totally fine, and depending on how you want to compete, you might want a dual registered animal. Hi, Arwen. You might want an animal that is only registered in one. It might not matter to you which one. That's fine, but make sure that you are aware of which association your mini horse is registered with. Check the paperwork yourself, okay? Don't just take the seller's word for it. Make sure that paperwork is up to date. You want to be aware that a temporary certificate is issued to registered mini horses before the age of 3. After the age of 3, it can be updated to a permanent certificate when their height is confirmed. Okay, so you definitely want to double check that that's all up to date. You have to complete the change in ownership. Okay, that has to be up to date. Their gelded status needs to be reflected on their paperwork. Now, mistakes and omissions can be fixed, but they take time and money. Don't assume that everything's up to date. Don't take the seller's word for it. Actually check the paperwork yourself before you give money. Another thing you want to look at is their bite. Okay, so I'm not going to interrupt Shadowfax, so I'll show you some pictures instead. You want to make sure their bite is even. The top and bottom teeth should meet evenly. It shouldn't be an overbite or an underbite. Okay, you don't want misaligned teeth. You want them nice and perfectly lined up. Hello, baby Arwen. Also kitten. Hi, sweetie. Smooch. So you definitely want to check their bite, okay? An off bite is a serious fault in the show ring, okay? I promise if you're showing and you've got a bite and you've got a problem bite, you're not going to get very far. So you don't want an off bite. It's also not good for breeding. So if you're going to breed your pony, you do not want an overbite or an underbite because you don't want to breed those faults into your babies. It's also not good for the health of the animal. At the minimum, you're going to have dental problems down the line. Worst case scenario, you actually have real health problems that are going to cost you a lot of money. So watch out for overbites and underbites. Don't take that on if you're not willing. And definitely don't take it on if you want to show or breed. Don't do that. You also want to check out soundness. Now, what does soundness mean in horses? It's actually pretty specific. Soundness itself is the absence of lameness or illness. It's the ability to perform work without the risk of injury. And it's also observing a normal gait or movement. Okay? An abnormal gait is, don't do that. It's maybe if there's nothing wrong. Maybe an abnormal gait with no pain, no other issues. It might not be an issue for you if it's just a pet or a therapy horse, but that is called mechanical lameness. There's nothing wrong, but it has the wrong gait. They don't move right. Anyway, sorry, I had to change positions. So don't pick a horse that has an abnormal gait or any kind of illness, or, I mean, if you're rescuing, you may be dealing with some illness or some injury, that's fine. But generally you want to avoid that if you can. Okay? Generally you want to look for a sound horse, one that is not ill, is not injured. If you're not 100% sure that that horse is 100% healthy, get a pre-purchase exam by an equine vet, okay? A soundness exam is money well spent. Specifically tell the vet you want a soundness exam. Okay, they can give you that. They can be very, very clear on what they're looking at and what they're suggesting. Watch the horse trot on firm ground. Okay, you want to make sure that gait is normal. If you do not know what to look for when it comes to a good gait, you definitely want to bring a horse friend with you. A horse friend who's familiar with how horses should move. Because if you don't know that, like I'm not great at spotting it, my sister is. So I take my sister with me because she's good at stuff like that. Or I make my sister go. Or I have a couple of friends now that are really, really good with spotting movement problems. You definitely want somebody to evaluate that for you if you're not very good at it yourself. And that's fine if you're not. Not everybody has that kind of eye. I certainly don't. Anyway, these are just 3 of the issues I wanted to talk about. There's 3 more. But I am endeavoring to make slightly shorter videos. So I'm going to cover the other 3 next week. Okay, the other 3 things you definitely want to check out before you bring your mini home, before money exchanges hands. For now, we're just going to leave it with those 3. So remember, you want to check registration, check their bite, evaluate for soundness. Those are the 3 things we covered today. We'll cover the other 3 next week. That's it for us today at Andersen Acres. We'll see you tomorrow.